in 1848. The gold rush started in 1849. And it started at San Francisco, so east of San Francisco, Sutter's Ranch, gold was found and the rush started. And so many people came to join the gold rush and become rich, that they actually changed the name, the opening to San Francisco Bay, to the Golden Gate. This is how you get to the golden ticket, you know? So the next 10 to 20 years was a horrible time for the Native Americans. They were drafted into service for the mines. It's estimated that originally there was about 300,000 Native Americans here. About the time of the gold rush, there was estimated to be about 150,000, and within the next 20 years, there was estimated that there was only 10% of those left. So it was a particularly devastating time. They were conscripted into forced labor, and just actually sought out. They were actually sought out, and Eric has some good quotes, or well, some quotes.
Well, one of the things we've tried to do with this trip is make the connection with Mexico, because we know that some of you have been to Mexico, we know that some of you would like to go to Mexico, and you know, so this is like a trip that has a focus with the monarch butterflies and all that brings to us, including the cultural connections between Canada and the United States and Mexico. And Nancy just reminded me that the Canadians have a plan to make the United States the 14th province. But
only if we get to keep Canadian.
They wouldn't want us.
yeah, I don't think they'd want us. But so we try to make these connections for you. Okay, so in California, north of here, there's a county called Mariposa County. Does anybody know what Mariposa means?
Butterfly.
Butterfly. So sure. So California has a county called Mariposa County. So I have a quote for you from the sheriff of Mariposa County during this time of the gold rush, the 1850s.
Mariposa County is the entrance to Sequoia and Yosemite. It's like right there as you're heading in there. So it's east of us.
Okay, everybody hear that? It's Mariposa County east of us. It's the entrance to Sequoias and Sequoia National Forest and Yosemite National Park. Was the largest county?
It was.
Was the largest county. So in the 1850s, when it was kind of the Wild West out here, and as Brian has kind of traced for you, like the original population of indigenous people in California was believed to have been, at the time of contact, about 300,000 people. The mission period devastated the indigenous population, especially in the areas where the missions were. In the foothills of the Sierras, they were more remote. The Spanish didn't really care about that because it wasn't good farmland up there in the Sierra. So those tribes were left more on their own. But down here it was devastating. Let's see, where do I have this? The estimates. Oh, okay, here. In an 1831 report at one of the missions, a father noted, for each 2 Indians born, 3 die. So what's that mean in the long term? Right. And then also mission records from 1779 to 1833, so about a 50-year period. The mission records show 62,000 Indian deaths, 29,000 births. So I mean, the records are very clear that the population was plummeting. But this is the quote I want to share with you from Mariposa County. At the time of the gold rush, the indigenous population had gone from about maybe 300,000 in the state to 150,000 in a span of about 50 years. Then the gold rush hit, and in Mariposa County, the sheriff, who was the sole civil and judicial authority, he was the mayor, the police chief, and everything. We went to him for authority. This is what he decreed, officially decreed. He said, and this is from historical records, "I pronounce the Indian outlawed. Consequently, everyone is permitted to kill the Indians he encounters anywhere in the county of Mariposa, on the sole condition of burying them and of letting the sheriff know where and how many of them he has killed." End of quote. If that's not genocide, I don't know what is. Now, this is a personal spin for me, and I don't expect that everybody necessarily to believe it or whatever, but this is my belief. Until the United States comes to grips with its own genocidal history, we don't have much authority to speak about genocide in other parts of the world. And we've not really done that. And it's not just California, it's all across the United States, the indigenous population. And I think, you know, we need to do that in the same way South Africa needed the Truth and Reconciliation Committee to come to grips with their history of genocide and apartheid. But anyway, so there's some, you know, some pretty sad affairs here in California. Not necessarily worse than other parts of the country, but it is part of the history.
Yeah, and another interesting note, not only was California one of the largest population centers, it was also one of the most diverse in terms of language and background centers we had as well. There was more languages spoken in California pre-contact than probably almost anywhere else in the Americas, but definitely anywhere else in North America. Just an immense diversity of languages. We have some materials we'll show you in a second, and we'll pass them around the bus so you can take a look at them. I brought them up. Just a couple things to round out the introductory history lesson, and if you want the full 12 hours for your insomnia, let me know. Happy to oblige. 25,000 satisfied customers still sleeping today. In 1848, essentially, California has its liberation from Mexico, and the United States had interest in California making sure that it became part of the United States. John Fremont, for your history folks, the Pathfinder, he was here making sure there was a warship in San Francisco Harbor, again making sure that this became part of the United States. And so from 1848 on, once that the treaty was signed, how is this land governed? California did not become a territory, which was typical at the time. If you wanted to apply for statehood, or you wanted to go to statehood, obviously after the first 13 colonies, you became a territory, and then after a while you would apply for statehood if you had the population, and you, if accepted, you could become a state. California had big dreams, they had big plans, and so after a while of sort of being on their own, they said, you know, this just isn't going to cut it. We have all this money, but we want to be part of something bigger. And so this just fascinates me. They actually decided that they were going to become a state, and they drew up their own legislature. They elected their own representatives that they would send to Congress. They elected their own senators and such. And in 18